Good afternoon to all of you. Wonderful to have all of you back again. Okay, yeah. So a quick recap of what we did yesterday in terms of, trying to connect what we did yesterday to today's session. So what we did yesterday was the impact of external factors impacting the compensation. And we said compensation is very dynamic, right? So especially in terms of when we talked about economic factors, that is inflation, then cost of living indexes, and then more importantly, supply demand of labor, which really impacts, the compensation. Okay. Now, having said that, then we moved into something very interesting in the last phase, equity. Anybody who recalls this equity principle? We talked about equity, how the every organization strives to be equitable, to be fair in the way they pay their salaries or in the way they design their compensation structures. So we looked at equity principle. Anybody who remembers what is this equity principle? 1 second. Just watch this for a minute. Before you begin to watch, I would like to just say, well, this is an experiment, uh, there, there are two monkeys. Now they have to do an activity. They have to do something. They have to give a rock. And every time they give a rock, they get something in return. Okay. So just watch this. 1 second. Yeah. Yeah. Um, so there are two monkeys. They have to do an act. They have to do some piece of work. They have to give a rock. And then the first monkey gets a cucumber. While the second monkey also gives a rock, but it gets a grape. Now just see. What's happening? What's happening? The first monkey was very happy. It was giving a rock and it was getting a cucumber. Till that time, it didn't know that even the other monkey was giving a rock, but it was getting a grape. So what does it mean? And that monkey, you could see literally angry, frustrated. What does it mean? And we people, we are happy till the time we are getting something. But when we compare ourselves with others, that's the time then we begin to start getting what? Frustrated, demotivated, all those things, right? So that was the equity principle yesterday we talked about. We said we are motivated when there is a balance of what? Our contribution or our inputs vis-a-vis what we get, the reward or the outcomes. We are happy. But how do we know that it's in a balance? When we start comparing, maybe comparing it internally, comparing with the market, or comparing with somebody else who's doing a similar job. Getting me? And then we started talking about three kinds of equity: internal equity, external equity, and individual equity. Today, we are going to really talk about internal equity and technologies, or how are we really going to then establish that internal equity in the organizations. With me? So again, to repeat, when we are talking about internal equity, it's all about comparing yourself with how others are being paid, in the same organization. So again, I'm talking about comparison, relation. So again, in the entire compensation thing, your motivation is all dependent on when you compare. That's how we get to know, am I being paid less or am I being paid more? Okay, so let's look at it. So when we talk about internal equity, we are actually talking about the entire technology, what we call it as job evaluation. So today the session will cover, in fact, it's going to be a technology, it's going to be a science where we are going to learn how are we going to evaluate jobs. We'll be learning essentially two methods. What is it? Job grading method and point plan method, okay, which will involve some amount of statistical analysis, which is called regression. Okay, so let us just, without further ado, let's just look at, when we talk about internal equity, how do we establish internal equity? Through job evaluation. So when we talk about job evaluation, there are two things we want you to understand very clearly. Job evaluation, job analysis. Is there a difference between job evaluation and job analysis? Just wanting to get an understand. So when we say job
Ma'am,
evaluation, yeah.
so I think job analysis is the what are the jobs a person have to do, what they are doing. And evaluation is, I think, evaluation is we have to evaluate the what we have to pay and what can be the position of them.
Okay. So you are saying job evaluation is evaluating a job and job analysis is analyzing the job. Let me be very, very clear. So the two processes are very, very different. Okay. Now, when we say job analysis, it is a systematic process of analyzing a job. Okay. Now, there could be very many methods. There could be a questionnaire method. There could be an interviewing method. There could be an observation method of observing jobs, okay, and you document them, which results into an outcome called, very clear, the outcome of job analysis is job description. Job analysis is a process by which we are analyzing a job as to what we are doing, all right, and then documenting it as a document which defines that job. So job description is a document which gives you what? A list of, what does it give typically?
Roles and responsibilities, specific duties, what
Responsibilities,
is
right? Yeah,
desirable output.
absolutely. Please. Then you also have, what does this role actually exist for? Why does this role exist? Okay. And in terms of what skills, competencies, capabilities, etc., it gives you a documentation of this entire thing. Now you may say job analysis. Typically, we may do uh, job analysis. There are many kinds of job analysis. Okay. Okay. Uh, I may do a job analysis for the purpose of what? Creating KRAs, KPIs, which is called performance analysis. Okay. So I will actually do that and then I will get what? KRA, KPI, etc. I may also do another kind of an analysis where for a training and development aspect of it, when I do the analysis, I will get all the competencies, right, which are required for the job. Huh? So there are different kinds of analysis. Now for job evaluation purposes, I will do a job analysis so that, for what will I do? So that I can create, yesterday I told you, I can create a grade or a band. Are you getting me? Okay. So there are different kinds of job analysis for different purposes. So when we are doing job analysis for job evaluation, again, we need to do a job analysis. So my job description should have all those key responsibilities, the key competencies required, everything which is required for job evaluation. The point I'm making is any job description does not suffice that you can do a job evaluation. Now we will actually look at how we are going to do that. All right. So going back, typically, if you all have to do a job description for your organization, how much time will it take if you have to do 10 JDs? How much time will it take? Because the first thing as a consultant, whenever I go, if I have to do a job evaluation, the situation in an organization is either they don't have JDs or they say, hey, we don't have updated JDs. The first and the foremost thing you need to have for job evaluation is what? A job description. How will you go about? Any easy method?
Observing,
Yeah, so observing, questionnaires, etc. So how much time will it take if you have to do 10 JDs?
I think it took a lots of time.
for one JD, I would say it may take more than 4 hours.
So let me give you a very nice, because typically if you need to have some benchmark kind of a JD for every job title, so that what happens, it becomes very easier. Let me give a very interesting, shortcut where we mostly consultants use, and I'm sure. So this is a very, any of you are familiar with this ONET? No? Okay.
No.
I saw one
So,
time.
okay. So if you want to create your job descriptions in your organization, this is a very good site where you have all available what? JDs. Now, what do you need to do? Vilma, you can actually put some kind of a position here. Just key in HR manager, dental assistant, Mahalikana, there. Yeah. HR manager, search a keyword, anyone. Then enter. So can you see, you will get HR manager, whatever you want. Okay. Now what you do, can you see there is a summary form which gives you a list of detailed tasks, everything, technology, all that. Now you also have a summary format. If you click on a summary format, you can also get a summary format. Okay. So what will you do now? You got a benchmark kind of a position. Job description. What can you do now? Will you just use this?
Yeah, we can use this.
How will you use it? So you obviously can't use it. So typically what we do, we customize it. How can you customize it? Yeah, you will then convert this into a questionnaire format, then use Google Forms and send it to some of the stakeholders and also to the role incumbent, asking, add or delete. I will leave some boxes also saying that, if there are more to be added, right? And send it. It takes, no time. In a day or two, you can actually, you can give them a day or two to get back to you, and you can finish. In a week's time, you can actually do at least 30 to 40 J. So having said that, just to reiterate, so what is job evaluation? Is a systematic process of determining the relative value of the job. When I say relative value, that means the worth of your job in comparison to the other jobs. So therefore, when you start doing this, the first document you will need to have is a job description. Okay, guys? So I don't want to, because we have a lot more of technology. So on job description, if you have any clarification, there's a lot of material Vilma has sent. I would request you to go through that and how to go about it. Okay. So as I said, job analysis, you get job description, and from the job description, you do the job evaluation. Now, what are some of the methods you can actually, so typically a job description looks like this. Okay. And I just don't, it has this, it has a title, it has a grade, it has qualifications, then it has typically reporting to where is the location, etc. These are the details on the job description. It's like this. Okay. Having said that, then how do you go about doing the job evaluation? Now, there are two kinds of methods. One is the qualitative method and the other is the quantitative method. Okay. So let us look at a very simplistic method, which is called ranking method, where I will take you through this paired comparison method. Very easy. What is it called? Paired comparison method. And this is applicable to mostly small organizations where you have, say, positions like 20 positions or 25 positions. Now, how do you go about establishing the worth of the job? All you need to do is you have to rank them. What is ranking? When I said ranking, what is ranking? Ranking is typically what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're ranking in terms of the what? Worth. Highest to lowest or lowest to highest, ascending, descending order. Now, how do we go about doing that? So first of all, you are looking at, say, for example, this is a small IT services organization. I think it has about 10 jobs. Can you see the jobs? 10 jobs. Okay. Messenger, data processing manager, data entry operator, executive secretary, computer operator, systems analyst, control clerk. See all these are the jobs. Now, this is the method we are using is paired comparison. That means I want to compare every job with another job across all the jobs. Okay. First of all, how do I go about? I actually create a compensation committee. Now, who will be the members of this compensation committee? It could be the HR head, the business heads, the subject matter experts. Okay. So all of them come together who have good understanding of the business. A. Then B. What do you do then? Then you start comparing every job with the rest of the jobs. How do you do it? Say, for example, I'm taking a job like there's a job here, right? Computer operator. Let us take a job, computer operator. Now, I am comparing this computer operator with messenger. Now, what logic will I use? Hey, all the compensation committee, by the virtue of their knowledge, by the virtue of their subject matter expertise, they will say, hey, this job, when you compare it with this, okay, now this is a higher job, qualitative method, right? So, what do? Because this job is higher than messenger, you just put a cross mark or a into. Okay. Now, computer operator is again being evaluated vis-a-vis the data processing manager. And the committee decides that data processing manager is higher than computer operator. So you just leave it as a blank. So what does it mean? When you are evaluating across all the rest of the jobs, then wherever this computer operator is higher, you are putting a into mark. Are you with me? I'll repeat. I'll repeat again. I take another job. Let me take a assistant director job, right? Assistant director. What are you doing? You're actually looking at this job and evaluating with the rest of the other jobs. That's why it's called paired comparison. Now I am evaluating assistant director with messenger. Who is doing it? Compensation committee. And it comes together and consensus. They take a consent saying, hey, assistant director is a higher job. So what am I doing? Into assistant director being evaluated with data processing manager. So the committee says data processing assistant director is lower than data processing manager. So blank. Then assistant director being evaluated with data entry operator. This is a higher job. So again, cross mark. So likewise, I am doing all that. I want somebody else to just so that you understand. Okay, let us do data entry operator. Anybody
One
wants to try
second.
it?
Nirmala,
Amrita?
last
Yeah.
my question, assistant
Ah.
director you compared with data processing manager.
Yeah.
And the I mean there is blank. You explained something. I missed that.
Yeah. So here you can see a blank. That means assistant director is a lower job as in compared to data processing manager.
Okay.
Who has taken the call? The compensation committee. What is the criteria or the basis? Their own deep pockets of expertise in the entire business, taking job descriptions, evaluating the job as a whole, and they have decided saying that, hey, looking at the skill, the responsibilities, everything, saying that that job is higher. So there is a blank.
Okay.
But for the rest of the jobs, assistant director is a higher job. Got it?
Yes.
Can anyone try out another one so that I know for sure that everybody is understood? You
Sure.
can look at data entry operator. Who wants to take a call? So that I know exactly that you all are on the same page. Anybody? Yeah. Don't say shall I, just go ahead. Who is this?
Dijo.
Yeah, Dijo. Tell me. We are looking at data entry operator. Okay.
Okay. So on data entry operator, so when we compare it with a messenger, data entry operator is a higher ranked job. So it's an X
It's an X,
when we
right.
compare it with the messenger. But data entry operator, when we compare it with data processing manager, is not ranked that much. So it's blank. So it's lower than that, if I can say that. It's lower than that, so it's blank.
Absolutely.
Again, we come towards right. So
Wherever there is a blank,
yep.
that means the job which is being compared is higher.
Yes.
Got it? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, dash is because it's the same job.
It's the same job.
Right? Yeah. But if you see the rest of the jobs, again, there are blank. That means
Correct.
those jobs are higher. Got
Exactly.
it?
Yeah.
Now, again, there is the into mark or cross mark. That means file clerk is a lower job.
Correct.
Data entry operator is a higher job as in compared to file clerk.
Correct.
Okay. So everybody's on the same page now. Okay. So having done that, then what you do, the next step is you are counting all the cross marks. Okay. And you are getting a value. So you have ranked your jobs. So which is the highest job as per this ranking?
That's data processing manager.
Excellent. Which is we are taking away that messenger. So after messenger, which is the lowest job?
File clerk assistant.
File clerk,
File
which
clerk.
is 1, right? Absolutely. So now you know that if I have to go by the highest job is 9, which has a value of 9, data processing, then 8, assistant director, then 7, systems analyst, then 6, executive secretary, then 5, programmer, then 4, which is computer operator, then 3, then 2, then 1. Okay, very clear. So what does it give you an understanding? The worth of the jobs in terms of ranking. That means one is the lowest. So as the ranking goes higher, you know that these jobs are higher. So typically what feeling does it give you? Saying that higher the job, I need to pay higher salary. Lower the job, lower salary. So that understanding. But from where will you now? Because our job is not ended. What did I say? When you do job evaluation, I also have to create pay bands, right? Now, how will you create a pay range, or how much do I pay? How will I go about? Now, what will I do? I will get some market data. So before I get some market data, what will I do? I will look at these jobs and try to categorize them or bucket them. What is that I will do? I will try to categorize them or bucket them. For example, can I bucket? Typically, if I look at clerical jobs, there is control clerk, there is file clerk, right? So can I bucket, because they're typically similar jobs. So 1, 2, data entry operator, then 3, that is control clerk. Let me see, 4, computer operator. Typically, by and large, they will belong to one category of clerks, excepting that the computer operator is on the higher side and the file clerk is on the lowest side. Right? You got it? Now, how will I go about it? Just so your file clerk was rank 1, right? Okay. Then your computer operator was what?
4.
Yep. Was 4. And there are between 1 to 3. That means we have other positions which were 2, 3, 4. Now, how will you fix salary? So I will get market data. Typically, say, for example, in a similar industry, this was an IT services industry, and in a similar industry, the market data I got was typically what they would pay between, say, 15,000. Oh, sorry. To 25,000. This is the range. Market data of similar positions from file clerk to computer operator is 15,000 to 20,000, 25,000. Now, what will I do? Which is your lowest job here? File clerk. I will say, hey, I am going to fix 15,000. Okay. Sorry. To the lowest, and I may fix to the highest. Are you with me? Also, depending on, say, for example, I'll just give a, for example, if I'm in a training industry, I might use business analyst. Okay. Also, I'll be using instructional designers, right? I'll be using instructional designers, right? I'm giving an example of a training institute where I'm using business analysts. I'm also using instructional designers. Now, they're typically in the same category. But for me, business analysts, okay, they have to understand and analyze, etc. But instructional designers are very, very critical for me, because the quality, the content of my trainings depend on these instructional designers. So if in this category, the range is 15,000 to 25,000, what will I give here for instructional designers? I will actually put them to a higher salary, right? I might say, hey, my instructional designers are very critical, so I'll pay them within that market data. The higher salary, I will give them maybe 25,000, and business analyst somewhere in between, maybe I will say about. Okay, what am I trying to tell you? In the sense, the compensation committee, because anything of such nature, you don't do it single-handedly. What does it mean? That you are looking at benchmarked market data, but depending on your own criticality of positions as well, you are then assigning salary. Guys, are you with me? Is it very, very clear? Is it very clear? Huh? Manush, any clarifications so that it helps others also?
No.
How are you? Now, let me also tell you about this paired ranking method, easy method, qualitative method, subjective, of course, but depending on the understanding of those compensation committee. And what is very, very advantageous to the organization is doesn't cost much. You can actually do it internally. What you can do? You can do it internally. All right. Now, you may also ask me a question saying that, okay, this is, you're trying to fix salaries where there are no salaries. But what if there are already salaries, then what will you do? There are already, I'm paying X amount of salaries, then what do I do? Then what will you do? You will actually look at the market data and say, hey, but then the market is paying so much and I'm only paying this much. Have you seen that? So you may like to do some kind of a market correction. Okay. DJ, I want you, because this is technical. This is not something, so I want you to raise hands. I want you to be very, very clear about how does one do this paired comparison method. Simple, but
Yep.
people really don't use much. So it's only when it's 10, 15 position. Why did they say 10, 15 position? Because every time you add a position, you have to actually, do the ranking all over again. It's cumbersome. So it's good for organizations which are very, very small and just about 10 to 15 positions. Then you can quickly rank using this compensation committee and then come to an understanding of, which is which is the highest job, which is the lowest job, and then assign quickly salaries. Okay. Any questions, guys? We are going to move on to the other very interesting method where you would be required to do as well now. Any clarification on this comparison method?
No questions as such. However, this is a very, I think we are not including factors like experience in the job or qualifications and all. So all of that is not
You
being
are
taken.
including,
Mhm.
but you are not evaluating individually as a factor,
Mhm.
because in your job description, that all would be incorporated. But how are you evaluating? The compensation committee looks at the entire job, and also, mind you, you are also taking the cognizance of the fact that all of them are subject matter experts. They understand business heads, they understand the business. So therefore, they are looking at those jobs and saying, hey, they're looking at a whole job. They're not breaking it down.
Got it.
So therefore, there is subjectivity, because maybe some business head wants to push his job, other somebody. So there is some amount of subjectivity. But yet, you can always look at the market data and then, then you can align it and you can see if there are huge gaps. Though it is not a very, I would say, popular method. Okay, because there is subjectivity. Now let us go to the other method, job grading. Let me tell you guys, this is of course a very popular process. Okay. Typically, what are you doing in this job grading? That means if you are having 20 jobs, if you are having 30 jobs, what do? I actually try to put all these jobs under different grades, evaluating them. I go through a process called job grading, and I'm trying to bucket these jobs into different grades, irrespective of the fact that it could be of different functions. So typically, go back to your organization, see, all of you have these salary bands or pay bands, okay? Grade 1, you'll have number of jobs. So you can have an HR job, you can have a finance job, you can have different jobs, but they are of equal worth. You getting me? They are of equal worth. Okay. So job grading is what you are trying to put your jobs into different grades, irrespective of different functions. Now, what is the process now? How do you go about it? Okay. What are we talking about? We are saying the first step 1, I'm identifying compensable factors. What are compensable factors? Compensable factors are those factors for which you want to pay salary. Now think about it. In your organization, when you recruit a person, what are some of the things you will look at so that you can pay high salary, low salary? Education, common education. Next, quick experience, right? Huh? What else? Level of supervision or span of control, right? Responsibility also, complexity, right? So when we talk about the compensable factors, let me just show you the compensable. So qualification could be one compensable factor. Your product knowledge could be compensable factor for which you are paying. Your experience could be a compensable factor. Span of control. What is span of control? Number of people you need to manage. Okay. Budget, supervision levels, or knowledge, skill, creativity, budget, number of reporting people, business impact, dollar impact, client interactions, effort required, all these things. Now, you may say, from where will I derive them? Typically, what happens, every organization derives their compensable factors from their business strategy, value, mission, etc. So just think about it. Why do I want to pay? So like, for example, Google. It says, hey, I want people who are very creative, right? Huh? So it will pay for creativity. Then again, what is it? Microsoft says, I want people who are initiative. Somebody else says product knowledge. Somebody else says operational excellence. So these are all those factors for which I want to pay. Okay. Having said that, I have identified. So say, for example, how do you do job grading? For a typical organization, first step is identifying compensable factors. Can anybody read what are those 4 compensable factors I have identified here?
It's education, experience, span
Span
of
of
control, and
control and
creativity.
creativity. So when you're hiring a person, higher the grade, higher the requirement of that compensable factor. At a grade 1, maybe it will vary lower level. At a grade 2, it will go up. At a grade 3, it will further go up. At a grade 4, it will further grow up. So first of all, you have to determine in your organization, hey, do I want to have a narrow band? When I say a narrow band means what? That means your salary band is very narrow. That means the difference between that salary range, max and min, is very narrow. You will have many levels. Look at a public sector organization. How many levels does it have? 20, 30 levels. Every time that person within 2 or 3 years, he keeps getting promoted. That's called a narrow band. So depending on your organization, how many levels and also the complexity of the organization, you can have a narrow band or a broad band. So have you heard of a narrow band and a broad band? All of you, if you are, I'm sure in organizations, you must be hearing this term, narrow band, broad band. Anybody who hasn't heard or who's heard would like to clarify? What is a broad band?
Maybe higher the responsibilities and maximum payout.
Nirmala, does it mean narrow band means more hierarchy and broad band is less hierarchy?
Narrow band, it looks like this. What does it mean? That means they different. So this is a band. Okay. Bands are what typically grades. What are grades? Every grade will have a salary range of min and a max. Are you with me now? Say, for example, Amrita is in a grade, say maybe M2, M1. It will be a salary band which will have a min and a max. For example, then I just annotate. I will do the, for example, I will just use, yeah. So I can have a band, say 8,000 to probably I can have a band till 112,100. Okay. So 8,000 is my min. And this is my max. And this band is, say, L1. Are you with me? Are you with me?
Yeah.
Yes.
A band
Yes.
L1, which has a min of 8,000 and a max of 12,000. Okay. Now, as I keep going higher, I will have what? I can have a band starting from L2 can start from 12,000 and then go up to probably 24,000. Okay. Then again, as I go say M1, I might start at 24. Okay. And then I go up to say 36, 1, 2, 3. Sorry. So I want to make you understand what are bands or salary bands. So in your organization, you may be having a salary structure where you have several bands. So every band, lower, middle, top. So they will have L, middle, and top. You will have a min and a max. Are you clear with that? Now, just, I don't want to give you more information at this point of time. So what is a band? When I say a narrow band, what does it mean? That means the difference between min and max is very narrow. So if I say the difference, which can also be called as SPREAD, spread, or WIDTH, width. Are you with me? Spread width. So when your width is very narrow here, what happens typically? Your stay or your tenuity in that grade limits to maybe 3 years or maybe just 4 years. Why? Why? So when I'm designing a salary structure, I need to understand the why. Because say, for example, on an average, you get an increment of, say, we look at this. So you get an increment of, say, 1,000 rupees. Okay. On an average. Average. Okay. This is your average increment. Okay. Now, in how many years will you reach 12,000?
4
In-
years.
Absolutely. In 4 years. Okay. But that means after 4 years, then what will I do if I don't promote him?
Switch
If
the
my
job.
band is only up to 12,000 and then I don't promote him, what will I do? Anamika?
Switch the job.
Huh?
Switch the job.
So typically in a narrow band, what happens? Think of public sectors. And so you are always trying to promote him to the next band because what? Even if the job does not change, you are forced to promote him. So if you see in public sector by seniority, they are only pushed up. But there is no real change in the job. Are you with me? Now, are you with me? Because what happens typically, if you are not promoted, then you also don't get your increment. You're only getting the performance bonus, which we'll talk about it later. Okay. Then what happens if the guy is now stuck up at 12,000 and every year, if he's there for 2 years or 3 years and he does not get an increment and he's also not promoted, he'll be demotivated. Are you with me? Huh? So therefore, in a narrow band, it restricts. You are not able to give him increments. So you are forced to put him on the higher band. This is called narrow band. Why? What happens in a broad band? There are only
salary.
5 or maybe only 6 grades. Typically, when I talk about a broad band, there are only typically about 5 or only 6 grades. Okay, but why are they called broad? Because the difference between min and max is really broad. That means the width, the spread, that is maximum minus minimum of that salary range is very, very broad. So what happens when it is very broad? I'm able to keep that person for a longer period. I'm able to give him still increment. So typically in organizations, when you have broadbands, like for example, you can have M. If M is a broadband, you can have sub-bands, M1, M2, M3. But it does not mean that he has got promoted. It is in that band. Okay. So your salary could be high based on the required competencies, etc. But the benefits you will get are defined by that grade or band. But here what happens? You have to all the time push him to a higher band. I've seen the difference. So typically what happens? Yeah, Anamika, you raised a hand. Huh.
Ma'am, one question. So the question is by
Can you
the
hear audible?
okay. So by the time the range can be changed now, because if the minimum is 8,000 and the maximum is 12,000, it is possible that the minimum range could be the 10,000 and maximum could be the 14,000. So in this condition, what we have to do?
Come again.
So in this condition, what we have to do?
So I'm coming to that. I'm coming to the typically
Okay.
what happens, organizations, before I go back to that activity of showing you how to do job grading, I want you all to understand. So you have to determine whether I want to look at broadband or whether I want to look at narrowband. Okay. So I will explain further. For now, broadband and narrowband, I want you to just understand this, because when we do market, then I will actually help you with much more. Because once you do job grading, you will understand. Your question also will be answered. Okay. Okay. Now, what have I done? I've taken 4 compensable factors and I have, and I said, hey, I want to limit myself to a broadband which 5 grades. Got it? Because this organization, it's an IT service organization and I'm limiting myself to 5 grades. Okay. Now, having done that, I'm creating a template. I'm creating a template or a criteria. Now, for every compensable factors, I'm writing a descriptor, grade descriptor. Again, job grading is a qualitative method, mind you. I'm writing the grade descriptor depending on what kind of education is required at grade 1. Depending on the number of functions you have, depending on those job descriptions you have to then write a descriptor, grade descriptor. For education, I've written grade 1 ITI, grade 2 engineer, grade 3 engineer certification, grade 4 PG, grade 5. Now, when you read the compensable factor, if there is a factor which you feel that the weightage or the intensity or the descriptor is the same from grade 1 to grade 5, it ceases to be a compensable factor. Are you clear about it? For example, education is same for all grades. It doesn't be a compensable factor. Okay? Which doesn't happen, but I'm just saying. Huh? Are you with me? So that means the degree has to keep What? Varying. Then it is a compensable factor. Got it? Tijo?
Yes.
Because I'm looking at you, are you just give me a thumbs up because I can see him very. So experience 0 to 2, 2 to 5, 5 to 10. So is it progressing? Is it progressing in degree? Obviously, when
Yes.
you want a person at a grade 3, you want higher experience. Okay. Now for creativity, say sometimes it works the other way also. Low, medium, high. So medium, high. So you have written, what have you written now? Descriptors. Have you understood this? Descriptors. That is the second part. Now, what is the third part? You have to take every job description and then evaluate and say, hey, this job, because the compensable factors required for grade 1 or ITI, this job is coming under grade 1. This job, finance manager, is coming under grade 3. Now, how did you decide that? Now you are evaluating and putting jobs or mapping jobs into their respective grades. Are you with me? Are you with me now? Huh? Okay. So you will be you are going to get a job description she has already given. Okay. What I want you all to do, I want you all to look at all the job descriptions. First, don't aspire for complex things. Just go by very simple compensable factor. Just take 4 or 5, only 4 compensable factors and only 4 grades. Okay. And then create those compensable factors, evaluate the jobs which you have, only 10 jobs. Don't aspire for 15 or 20 because there are, I think, about 20 jobs. And then try to put them into grade 1, grade 2, grade. Once you have done that, now somebody, Anamika or somebody was asking me. Then what you do, there is an exercise. That's not good enough. Now you have mapped them. Now you have to assign salaries. How will you assign salaries? What will you do?
Market
Say,
data.
for example, these are the jobs and I've put them into this grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. All these jobs are there. And I've got market data for this. Have you first understood this slide? I've got the jobs, put them into job grading, and I've got the market data. Simply, we call this as cluster analysis also. I'll make it very simple for you. What all that you need to do is take this, insert, go to chart, go to scatter. Okay. Now what you do, click on any one of them, add a trend line. Got it? Okay. Now, what can you see? You have 3 positions in grade 1, 3 positions in grade 2, and 3 positions in grade 3. Can you see that? Yes? Yes or no? Okay. Now, how will you then assign salary bands? Simple. The lowest position in grade 1, what is the salary, corresponding salary of market data? Say, for example, it is about 18,000. So I will say grade 1, min 18,000. What is the max here?
20,000.
20,000. So I put a max here, 20,000. Got it? Okay. Can anybody do the second one? Looking at the graph and tell me, can I make it bigger so that, yeah. Okay. Yeah. For the second one, can you tell me?
For the second one, the minimum is, I guess, 18, approximately 18, and the highest is
18, or you
25.
can also, it's so close, okay, 20 or 18, okay. And then the max?
25.
All right. Okay. And then for the grade 3?
55 and 60. 55 being the minimum and 60 being the max.
Now, this is what you got from the market data, right? From the market data. Now, you need to do some mechanical tweaking. What is that mechanical tweaking? First, you will see, hey, according to the market data, I've only taken 10 positions. Maybe there'll be more positions, then you will have more. Maybe your range will differ a little. But now, having said that, now what is it? 18,000 and 20,000. So, what is the difference? What's the difference? Min and max, what is the spread here?
Ma'am,
2000.
I have a question.
1000.
Yeah.
If we look at grade 2, the min is 20,000 and the max is 30,000, right?
Right.
But in your table, if you look at line number 8, senior store assistant, grade 2, we have given the employee salary below min.
Here, this one
Is
you're
that
talking
fair?
about? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that fair?
So, yeah. So, here, this position is like an outlier. That means, there is a position which is paying what? Lesser than the, if you
Market
see the trend
price.
line, it's lesser than the market. Okay. So, but yet you are looking at, so you could even start it at a 18,000 as well. All right. We can change it. We can look it at 1.8. Okay. I'll just tell you how. Now, having said that, now I'm trying to create what? A grade or a band. How do you do that? First of all, you will look at, I said mechanical tweaking is necessary. So what is the difference here? What is the spread? 2,000. Okay. Now, you have to go back and see in the organization, typically in a grade 1, average tenure. What is the average tenure and what is the average increment? For example, the average increment is say 500. Okay. And the average tenure is 4 years. Average tenure is 4 years. So typically, what would be the stay period? So 4 years. So how much is it? 5 into 4 is
20,000. 2,000. 2,000.
2,000. So this is okay. That means it satisfies your min and max. But what if the tenure is, what if the tenure is actually, average tenure is say 6 years? What if it is 6 years? Then 6 5s are 30. So that means you have to make room for how much?
3,000.
3,000. Okay. So what would you do now? You will actually extrapolate or extend this maximum to by how much amount?
By 1,000 rupees more.
So you have to add 1,000 rupees more, where you will say, hey, the maximum has to become right?
21,000. 21,000. 21,000.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Likewise, again, look at the next one. Now, Anamika said there is an outlier. So, I can also have the grade 2 starting from 18,000. I can have. Some organizations have a huge, I can have. But what happens? That means you have to actually look at, hey, but why is it that this is a very, because you're again starting from 18,000. So you need to go back to the drawing board and say, hey, I need to have this changed. You're tweaking it to at least, and look at that position, that outlier position. Why is it that he's at 18,000? Okay. You have to look at that. And now you're starting your position at grade 2 at 20,000. Now again, look at the same thing. Typically in your organization in grade 2, what is the average increment and what is the average tenurity? So Maybe like, for example, it is, 2000. So 5 years, it will suffice as 30,000. But now you will see that from 30,000 to 50,000. So what will you do? You will say, hey, why can't I make a sub band here? Saying 31,000 to say maybe 50,000, a sub band. All right. Today I may not have positions, but I am making room for maybe in the future I'll have positions, a sub band. Are you with me? Because when you are taking positions, you are only taking with the available number of current positions, but you are not creating a structure just sufficient enough for those positions. You are actually creating a structure even for the future. So your grading or banding should be such that it can also accommodate for the future. Are you with me, guys? Huh? Anamika? I
Yes.
think who had that? I said that, I think it was Anamika or somebody. She had a query. Anamika, you had a query? Yeah. Yeah. Can you now tell me about that query so that I can actually then help you with it?
So my query was, ma'am, that
Little louder, Anamika, because I think,
I don't know
close it.
why. Okay. So my query was, as you have mentioned that the minimum is 8,000, or I'm taking the earlier
Take this
example.
data. Let us take this data.
Okay.
Huh?
Okay. The minimum is 18,000 and the maximum is 21,000. So the by the time increase and we take the market data, and then it is possible that the minimum could be the 20,000 and the maximum could be the 23,000. So
Okay.
it is also possible. So so at that time, the salary can increase for employees.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
What your point? I know what you're trying to say. The salary will increase. That means it will go beyond the maximum. At that point of time, what will I do? Is that your question?
no. I
Mm.
think no. My question is that if as you said, then we have to promote employee.
Mm. Mm.
If employee is getting the maximum of the salary, then
Mm.
either we have to promote employee, or we have to do something, because we cannot give the increment to the employee. So
Right.
if this minimum and maximum range can be changed, then it is possible to increase the salary without promoting the employee.
Very interesting, very interesting. And that's what most of the organizations, small organizations, keep doing. And their compensation structure goes to haywire.
Okay.
You know what happens typically? Why is the structure there? It helps you for progression. It helps you to contain your cost. Okay. But if the recruitment and even the compensation people keep increasing the maximum, then what will happen? Are you getting a sense of it now? Huh? Because what happens, so there is a fundamental principle there. In fact, we do it a little later. This is called it's called red circle principle. What is that red circle principle? That is when the person has reached the maximum, okay, then what you do? You cannot increase the range. So now you have to decide. So typically, what is the practice in the organization? When you have reached, say, 30,000 and then you cannot promote them, you will give a performance bonus for the year he has performed. When you are doing an annual increment, you will give a performance bonus, which is equivalent to that percentage. But that you can't add that to your increment, that is to your base salary, because your base salary will go up, then your maximum will go up. You can't do that. So typically in organizations, at best, they'll make you stay there for a year, at best. Because what happens? People will get demotivated, or you have to post him to another department where you will again see that, yes, that there is a good possibility for that person to be promoted also. Now, having said that, let me tell you, very interesting situation. Most of the time, I having been a practitioner, business says, as of yesterday, I want it. So what does the recruitment do? Recruitment will get people who are on a higher base salary. You are paying more than the midpoint. Then in a very short time, he's reaching the maximum. You are bringing a brilliant guy. We'll talk about it when I'm doing the session 3. Brilliant guy. Okay, let me give you this. Since you said this, midpoint, max. Ideally, when I recruit, I have to give either between min or at best between min and mid. That means mid is the midpoint. But when I get a person here, that means he reaches maximum within a very short tenure, maybe 2 years or so. Now you have bought a bright guy, given him a very high base salary. Now he's already reached maximum, but I can't promote him. What will happen? He gets demotivated because he can't get increment. Huh? So therefore, it's very, very important that when you're fitting them into salaries, look at the band, look at your min and max, and preferably, we'll talk about comp ratio. Preferably bring him here between min and mid. A comp ratio which is 110, 120, that means more than the mid, then he'll be reaching the max very soon, and it will create frustration and demotivation. And also what? Higher wage cost. Higher the comp ratio, higher the wage cost. We'll talk about those principles. Anamika, are you with me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh?
Yeah, ma'am.
So we need to actually have some kind of a discipline when you give increment, ensure, so there is a, when you hire people, you need to have a policy. At what comp ratio will you hire? When you promote people, at what comp ratio will you hire? Because everything is related to wage cost. So that comp ratio, I'm going to tell you in the next session, because I don't want to confuse you right now. Okay. We'll park that for a while. Okay. But here, even red circle, green circle, we'll talk about it a little in the session 3. Now here for your, so I'm able to then what? Fix what? Salaries, min and max salary ranges to my grades. Then what is the advantage here? So when I'm actually fixing salary ranges to my grades, the salaries are paid as per the salary ranges and the benefits are paid as per the grades. So typically grade 1, reimbursement or travel or all, benefits are then paid on the basis of what? Your grades. Have you understood this, guys? Huh? You will understand it better. What I want you all to do now is, I'll give you the market data. You just do this. So you have certain positions, okay, of an organization. All of them are there. Okay. So you would be having this documents where this is an IT infrastructure company where you have all the positions. Yeah. Can you just keep scrolling down, Vilma, for a minute? You have different functions. Okay. Just scrolling down the positions. Yeah. So for infrastructure, you have this position, then you have in finance, then HR, and then you have production, etc. Okay. What you need to do is, first of all, create a template, which I showed you. Just take 4 compensable factors and 4 grades. That's it. Then I want you all to write the grade descriptors. And only for 10 positions, any of the 10 positions, look at the job description, evaluate, and then map them to that particular grade. Got it? Whether it will be mapped to grade 1 or grade 2 or grade 3. But how will you map? What is your criteria? Go through the descriptor. Hey, this descriptor, these all 4 descriptors fit to this. So it will be grade 1. Not just one descriptor of grade 1, grade 2. No. All the four compensable factors, descriptors should align with the job description. Then that goes into a grade 1 or grade 2 or grade 3. So you are mapping them. All right. Just do that. And then we'll do the cluster analysis. Then I'll show you how to do it. I said, okay. So let me do a little recap. so that you know exactly what is job grading. Job grading is one way of doing job evaluation, which is a very popular method, okay, especially with the public sector organizations. Now, having said that, now what does job grading looks into? It looks at compensable factors. So step 1, define compensable factors. Step 2, determine how many grades you want, whether you want a narrow band or a broad band. So depending on that, then you will, if it is a narrow band, then you will create 10 to 15 bands. If it is a broad band, then you will create just about 6 to 7. So step 2 is determining how many grades you want. Step 3, then writing descriptors for those compensable factors. Step 4, you are evaluating the positions vis-a-vis the compensable factors. Now, the method is qualitative method. 2, the method is a whole method. That means you are here also, you are not breaking and saying 2 compensable factors. I'm sure when you are evaluating, 2 will fit in grade 1, 2 will fit in grade 3, grade 2. What do? Should I put them in grade 1 or grade 2? So typically, again, the compensation committee decides and then you take a call. Okay? Very clear? Job grading? Any questions? None. Any?
No.
Just give me a thumbs up if everybody is okay with job grading, because you will have an assignment to look into your own positions and do job grading. Okay? Just give me a thumbs up, guys, please. Okay? All right. Great. Now, the most interesting method we are going to do is point plan. And why is it very interesting? Because it's very objective. To a great extent, even job grading has some amount of subjectivity. Have you heard of point plan? Any one of you just heard of it? Okay, no problem. Point plan is what? Is a quantified method. So anytime quantification is always better, no? If I say that DJ's job is, 400 points and Andy's job is 450 points, whose job is higher? Obviously
450?
450 points.
450,
no?
yeah.
450 points. So I can clearly then say, hey, higher the job points, higher the job. No, I pay more. So then one is what it is quantified. Then here, again, it is not a whole job. It is broken up into compensable factors. So that is the interesting part in a point plan. Okay. Now let us see what is this point plan process and how does it go about. Again, what are the steps common with the grading? Identify compensable factors, which is common. But there ends the commonality. I'll talk about it now. Then you will look at compensable factor scales, then weightages, and then you are populating the points and then evaluating. First of all, let me just show you. When we say point plan, like say, for example, this is for a sales and marketing position, function. There are 9 jobs here. Now, after having done the point plan method, what is the point plan for vice president? 460
460.
points. What is the point plan for sales engineer? Total points?
190.
190. I know that 460 is the highest job. Thereafter, 4. So, when it is quantified, it becomes much easier to rank. Now, how do I do this? Typically, what happens? This is how is a point plan. What? This is how it looks. Now, don't get worried. I'll make it so simple for you. And then when we do that, okay, then we will also then create this structure. So how do we do that? Identify compensable factors. Say if this is my point plan, what are the compensable factors here? Skill,
Skills, efforts, responsibility.
responsibility, and job condition. Okay. Now I can also do sub-compensable factors. Under skill, I have said education, experience, and knowledge. Under effort, I have physical requirement, mental requirement. Under responsibility, I said responsibility towards equipment, towards material, towards safety, and also towards other people. 4 responsibilities. Job conditions, I have put working conditions and hazard. So it depends. It depends on the organization. Compensable factors are not cut paste. They are contextual in the sense the kind of organizations. Then I like for this is typically for a manufacturing organization. I derive compensable factors. So any clarification here about compensable factors? No. I'm using the same thing again so that it helps you all. Okay. Step 1, compensable factors, 4 compensable factors, right? Step 2, now the commonality of job grading ends there. Step 2 is I need to define how many degrees, or this is also called degrees of differentiation. Yeah. So in point plan, now don't forget about what we did in job grading, like grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. This is not grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. I have to differentiate how many degrees I want. So this is called, I'll explain to you, degree 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, what are these degrees? These are called even scales. These are also called levels, but typically if you go to a compensation book or anywhere, it will be called degree of differentiation. What does it mean? That means that I have to look at the complexity of my organization and say, hey, the intensity of the compensable factor required. So degree 1 will be low, degree 2 will be higher, degree 3 will be higher than degree 2, degree 4 will be higher. So degrees are nothing but intensity of education required at degree 1, degree 2, degree 3. Intensity of working experience required at degree 1, degree 2, degree 3. So you have to write what? Degrees and their descriptors. Intensity. Now, caution or check. You cannot have any overlap between degree 1 and degree 2 descriptor. Why? Because when we are assigning points, degree 2 will be higher. So you cannot have any overlap. Degree 1 education is ITI. So is engineering degree higher than ITI? Yes. So can you see? All the descriptors I have written here are progressing and there is no overlap. Got it? Any clarification? Now, next, step 3. Now give weightage to your compensable factors, which you have not done in grading. What is weightage? In an organization, not all compensable factors are of equal importance. So I need to, again, committee here, I need to now give weightage. Which compensable factor is of a higher weightage and which will be of a lower weightage. But having said that, do not give any compensable factor more than 50% weightage. That means, then it becomes a little skewed. Are you with me now? So therefore, if you see, I said here 20%, 20%, 25 and 35. They should all sum up to 100. Is this clear? Step 3, weightage is always 100. You have to just divide. And I normally take it as which is the highest and then go about, doing the weightages using a compensation committee. So it becomes very simple. Now, having done this, I will ask you a question. Typically, at an entry level, if you have written experience and also education, weightage will be given for what? When you are doing that. Typically, in an organization which is at a build stage, means it is still at the startup stage. What kind of a compensable factor will have a higher weightage?
Education.
I'm talking about a life cycle, not employee life cycle of an organization. This is a startup. So, which compensable factor will have a higher weightage? Startup.
Education.
Education.
In a startup, you will typically take people who are more experienced because
Experience.
you want them to what? You want plug and play people. You want to set up processes. Okay. So you will give experience more weightage. But it's a large organization, bulk of people, maybe education. So it depends. Life cycle of an organization as well. Then, for example, if it is an R&D kind of an organization where you need a lot of creativity and innovation, you might give creativity more. May Starbucks, no, McDonald's, where you need customer experience, customer orientation. So customer orientation, that will be of a higher. So what am I trying to say? Depending on the strategy, depending on the value, vision, mission, etc., you will also then give weightage. Okay, this is clear, weightage. Now Monash was asking, but ma'am, how did you give these points? Very simple. Now you want to have a 500-point plan or 100-point, 1,000-point plan. Now 20 multiplied by 1 is 20. 20 multiplied by 2 is 40.
40.
So you multiply the weightage across your degrees. Got it? Manush, is that clear?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you notice 20, 40, 60, 80. Again, this is the same. Go to 25, you will see 25, 50, 75, 100. Then go to 35. Sorry. Go to 35, 35, 70, 105, 140. Got it?
Ma'am,
Yes,
ma'am, can we write the more than 4 degree for 5, 6, 7?
What is the basis of more than 4 degrees or less than 4 degrees? Or typically, you have to take the complexity of the organization. Say, for example, I'm just giving you an example. In my organization, education, if I take the highest and the lowest, that, typically I am employing people from an ITI to just maybe just engineers or postgraduates. Got it? So I will have degrees of differentiation dependent on the requirement of the compensable factor. Got it? I'm not adding twist because you asked. I'm telling you, not necessary that I will have all the compensable factors with same degrees. But right now, please park that because it will be a little bit difficult to understand for you. Okay? I can have working conditions here and say only 2 levels I need. But right now, don't get into that. First, level 1, let it be simple for you to understand. Then I will explain to you that also. Okay. So, I hope I made that point clear, Anamika, saying depending on the complexity of the organization, you will define your degrees. Why? If you have less degrees, you are evaluating the job and he falls in between degree 1 and degree 2 requirement, then where will you put? Got it? So therefore, in order to allow that all your job descriptions can be evaluated in an appropriate manner, you should have sufficient degrees, but don't have them more than 8, 10. I would prefer that, I mean, for convenience and also for efficiency, you should not have more than 6 to 8. Got it?
Got it.
There's a
Ma'am,
thumb rule. There's a thumb rule. For example, in job grading, you should have less compensable factors. Why? More the number of things, you will get overlappings. But in point plan, you can have at least 7 to 8 compensable factors. Okay? All right. Now, having said that, now, yeah, you wanted to say something, Anamika?
no, ma'am, it's clear.
Okay. Now, if you total up or sum up degree 1, it will be 100, 200, 300, 400. Okay? Got it? Now, how will I evaluate? That's the interesting thing. Take the job description which is there in the organization and say, for example, I have an HR team lead with a job description. Okay? Now, based on this template, I have evaluated this HR team lead. Now, what I will say, for education, that person needs what? Maybe, because I've said here, I'll say post-graduation. Supposing. That means how many points will I give? Say for
40.
example, how many points will I give?
For post-graduation.
Engineer plus post-graduation, because when you're doing compensable factors, you can also write here descriptors are not given totally for all the functions. I can write, plus PG, HR, right? Etc. So I can give what?
What?
40 points.
40 points, yeah.
Okay. Or say, for example, I'm taking a technical manager. For example, a technical manager. So in education, typically based on the job description, the technical manager will need engineer and certifications. How many points will I give?
60. 60.
Great. Good. Very good. Say, for example, HR manager needs an HR post-graduation. So think PG. So how many points will I give?
80.
Oh, 60.
Correct.
Oh, why-
No, see, PG, no, PG. So I put it here, PG. So 80 points. So here, whatever is the descriptor, you will assign those points. Okay. Now, maybe work experience, say, for example, that JD needs only 2 to 5 years. Then what will I give?
40.
40. So do not think that I have to give all 40, 50, 70. No, I can pick up points from here, points from here. That is the best part about point plan. Depending on the intensity of the compensable requirement, I can then assign points. I can have 80 plus 60 plus 50 plus 70. I can have 60 plus 20 plus 25 plus 35. So what does it mean? I don't have to take all of them in a serial order. I can pick and choose depending on the suitability of that compensable factor. Are you with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh?
Yeah.
I
Having
have one
said
query
that,
out here.
yeah, Manush.
So when we say education, now what
Ah.
would be the best way? For example, an ITI is a technical qualification, whereas an undergrad. So for example, he's an undergrad. So he's also ITI is a certificate course after class 10th and somebody is an undergrad. Because ITI would be a technical role. For example, we have undergraduates working in the as a data entry operators. So where do we, so for education, where do we slot them? If I take this as an factor, compensable factor, so where do we place an undergrad? Because, okay, engineer, I understand is a grad, then a grad plus certification, and then a PG.
Right. That is the interesting question. So now in your organization, you're saying that I have much more broader width has to be spread. So I might have more degrees where I will accommodate. Degree 1 is only ITI. Degree 2 is undergrad. Are you getting me?
Yeah. Okay.
Huh? Because now if you said undergrad, then you will say, should I give 20 or should I give 40? Are you with me?
Yes.
You have not made room for it. But maybe somebody has nothing. So it is straight away IT engineers, depending on intensity and requirement. So I also said you need not have all 4 degrees equal. You can, but that twist, I don't want to bring it right now here because that needs a little more understanding. So first I want you all to just stay with this. Okay.
Fair enough.
All right. So now you will assign points depending on the requirement of the JD. Not that you will put all of them. So here what happens, there is more objectivity because you are looking at what? Points from all the 4 compensable factors based on the requirement. Like for example, I think an HR team lead, I put it as maybe postgraduate 80 plus probably it is work ex 2 to 5, 20 plus probably it's an individual contributor 25 and then creativity maybe again 70. So likewise. Now what I have done, I have calculated the points required for this based on the job description and total point value. Now 220 should have all the 4 compensable factors. 365 should have all the 4 compensable factors. Are you with me? Huh? Okay.
Exactly.
So step 4 is calculating the point value of all the positions. Do you know how I arrived here?
Yes, ma'am.
If I were to show one more slide and then I'll come back here because This is also important. So yeah. Say, for example, if this is my weightage is how much? 50, 15, 20, 15. Now you know how I calculated this one. What is it? The point plan? Huh? So 50, if you add up all this, so 15, 20, 15% is education, 20% is experience, and 15% is knowledge. And that's how I've arrived at the points. Okay. After creating this point plan, then what will I do? I will evaluate all the jobs and arrive at the total point plan by assigning the required amount of points for every job. Okay. Now comes the critical part. Okay. So when I have done this, next is what do? I have to actually arrange them either in an ascending or a descending manner, which has not been done here. But what do you need to do? Either ascending or descending. So which is the highest job here?
I think 365.
This one.
Technical manager.
Technical chief, right?
Sorry, technical chief, yeah.
Chief. Then 380, then 360,
65.
then 365, then 360, then 345. This is it. How did I arrive them? I hope you know all of them. Next, what do? I get the market salary. I told you that I need to benchmark, I need to get the market data because I have to create a salary band. So how will I get market data? Typically from a published survey, but in the next session, I will also explain to you how you can actually then get the data if you don't have a published survey as well. Okay. So this is the market data. What does it mean? For an HR team lead, the market is saying, I'm paying 25,000. For a technical manager, the market is saying 90,000. This is the market data. Now, with the point plan, the best part is I can actually predict what I should be paying for my organization. Are you with me? What I should be paying for my organization. You may say, how do I do it? I use regression. So when I use regression, what do? I calculate two values. What are they? Slope,
and
intercept. I will explain to you what is a slope and intercept. But for now, when you do regression, these are two terms you have to calculate, slope and intercept. Any clarifications? Okay. Now, how will you calculate slope? Simple. Go to insert, formula, insert function, and then can you see slope here? Can you see slope here? Then say okay. So what did you get? There is a window which says, can you see this known y's and known x's? Now you might be wondering, what is this y and what is this x? Now when I'm using a regression, it uses two variables. What are those two variables here? One is your total point plan data. That is one variable. And what is the other variable? Market data. Now, regression, we just only for correlation will say two variables. But for regression, there is an interdependency. What does it mean? Because it's a predictive model. So, X is an independent variable. X is an independent variable. So, it's always called X. Even if you go to any statistics book, any book, as per the formula, in regression, X is an IV, independent variable. What does independent variable means? I'll give you a very simple analogy. I'm a gardener. Okay, I have a plant. Every day I'm pouring what? Water in it. So the plant is growing. I'm also measuring. So one is growth and the other is what?
Water.
Pouring water. No? Which can be an independent variable. What is causing growth?
Water.
Water or nutrition, right? And the plant is growing. What is the dependent variable there? The growth. Growth is dependent on the
Water.
water I am giving. Like that, the point value is the independent variable because the point value increases or decreases depending on the job. It's an independent variable. So based on this point value, the market data is dependent on this. So market is called Y. Got it? Independent and dependent. So DV. Now, when it says known Ys, what do I need to do? I have to take the known Y data, which is here. Okay. Now I 18 to D. Now known X. I left purposely that position. I'll tell you why. So I have to take only till there. Got it? Now, okay. So what is the value of slope?
413.56.
What is the value of slope? Huh?
413.
Yeah, I'll just write here so that this is the value of slope. Now, if I want, I can also make it like 413.6. No, I can also make it like 413.6. Now I have to calculate what intercept value. Let me just put one. Okay. Insert function. Intercept. Okay. Then known Ys. Then known X's. Okay. So what is my intercept value? Intercept is mostly minus 64426.46. I can always make it as 0.5. Okay. This is the, now the beauty of a regression is that it will throw out or predict what is the salary you need to pay at a median. Okay. So what is the formula for it? Slope multiplied by point value plus intercept. Or typically, if most of you have done 10th class or maths, it's typically like this. So Y equals, okay, AX, typically I say AX plus, AX plus B. This is the formula where A is the slope, X is the point value, and B is the intercept. Are you with me? Now, if Y is equal to AX plus B, or Y is, that is the predicted salary is equal to slope multiplied by point value plus intercept, how can you calculate that? Simple. What will you need to do? Just insert if you actually see this, insert the formula. I always say because slope and intercept is constant, they don't change. So hardwire them. What did I do? I multiplied slope multiplied by the point value, which is the cell number. And because your intercept is minus 64426, and then just drag it and you will get the, so no, just, yeah. Just drag it and you will get your value. Any clarifications? Any clarifications here? Because it is little technical, but Manoj is actually looking at it and saying, hey, but how do I do it? What it is? Yes, Manoj? It's not so difficult. Let me make it much more simpler for you. Much more simpler. Okay?
We have.
I know. Now, one more thing. I left a blank here. Not many times will you get market data for all your positions. Why? Because one or two positions can be unique. They can be unique. That means you can't find similar jobs in the market. But so typically Mercer, Hewitt, hey, what do? So when they calculate your slope and intercept value, they use that for those positions they have calculated point plan. So then I can also calculate the salary I have to pay for the senior engineer, even if there is no what? Market data. Even if there is no market data. Okay. Now there is another easy method also. Let me tell you. I can also calculate. Go to insert. Okay. And then what will I do? Put the chart. Scatter chart. You got this? Now do this and do a trend line. Okay. And then go to this format trend line and click on no, display equation, display R square. Okay. Can you see that you got your slope value? You got your intercept value. Can you see that? Which is tallying with it. Now there is something here called R square. And what is the value of R square?
99.
0.99. Now, what is R square? R square is the regression. R square is the regression or coefficient determination. Now, the best value for R square is 1. It should be 1 or less than that. Now, anything which is about 0.85 and higher has a very good regression. And this has 0.99. That means it is very good. Now, visually, how can you say that it's very good? Can you see that all your job points are absolutely sitting on that trend line? Your R square value will be absolutely very good, closer to 1 when your job positions are closer to that trend line. That means your market data is 99% dependent on the point value. Are you with me? Now just change one value. Just see how it will show you. Say for example, I'm just changing this in 360 into. Okay. What is it? Can you see that the job points have gone far away a little? The closer they are in the tight fit, that means your R square will be of a higher value. That means your data is really very good. Now change more and you'll see how it will be.
Now, if the regression is less than 1, then it is good.
No, it has to, perfect is 1.
Perfect is 1.
R square, 1 or less than that. So, if your regression is something like 0.65, that, see, can you see? 0.71, that means your position,
Not
which is like
acceptable.
300 points, you are giving very less salary. Market. Higher the points, okay? So this is, the job points have to be closer. So this is the check. Your R square, which is 0.71. That means what will you do? If it is 71, you'll go back and see, hey, have I evaluated my points correctly? Then is the market data really good? So your R square gives you an indication of whether that data is good or not. Are you with me? Are you with me? Okay. Now, I want you all to do quickly so that, you know, the proof of the pudding is in doing, right? Huh? I know I'll be taking a little more time, but can you all quickly just put this on an Excel sheet, just the point value and the market value, and predict what should be the salaries to be paid for this. I've not given you the task of calculating the point value. I've already done it. So the same You can do it individually also if you want. Very easy. Use it on an Excel and I will help you all. Okay? Yes, no thumbs up. Can you all do it individually?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So all that you need to do is open your screen, use an Excel sheet, just positions. You can also do just ENG, SRENG, put your point value and put point value X, very important. Market value, put it as Y. Now I'll keep telling you how to go about and you please do it. Can I help you or you will do it automatically? There are two methods of doing. One is calculating individually slope value and intercept value. Okay. The other is oh, sorry, one second. Sorry. Got it? So your slope value is 246.34 and your intercept value is minus 1905. Now I can also help you to do it in the other way. Calculating slope value. How will you do that? Does it tally with what we did earlier? Okay. Now look at intercept. What happened? There was some error, I think. One second. Huh?
Actually, you took
Yeah.
why both
Both on
the
Y.
time the same value.
Sorry, dear. Let me just insert function.
It is minus
We're calculating into
19014.
yeah. So
So why?
okay.
No X.
Is it the same? Same value for intercept?
Yes.
Minus 1905. What is the R square? What is the regression value? 0.96. That means 96%. Can you see? They're so tight except for one, etc. So therefore, it's a very good data, market data, which is aligning with the point value. Okay. Now, can you calculate the salaries to be paid for those? Easy, no? Can you do that? What will you do? In the next column, all that you need to do is that formula. What's the formula? Y equals
Equal to A plus
AX
AX plus B.
plus B.
plus, this
B.
is our old B, where A is what? Slope,
Slope. B is
X is
intercept.
point value, and B is your intercept.
Intercept.
But because it is minus, you have to do minus. Can one of you just, I'm actually stopping the screen. Can one of you just show me what you calculated and what you did? Anyone?
Yeah, ma'am. I'm sharing.
Yeah.
Is it visible?
Yes. Good. Now calculate the salary.
So I actually have not mentioned.
AX plus B. Yeah,
So,
equal to, just put that slope value 246.
into
You put 247. Why? No, don't put C8. I'll tell you hardwire it. Put
okay.
247 because that doesn't change, that's way. 247. Then you put the sign. Then you put your
Point value.
slope value, point value.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And then
Intercept
minus.
190.
Plus.
Yeah.
No, because it is
it's
minus, so we
minus.
can put.
It's-
We have to put the
No,
minus.
it's minus intercept. So
Mhm.
minus 19015.
So 9390.
You can drag it, no?
Yeah.
So this is your no. Okay. Yeah. Now this is your salary for the positions. Now you may say, but you see, when the market is paying 10,000 for that engineer, but as per the regression, it is throwing up 9390, right?
Yeah.
When the market is saying 2,000 or 25,000, it is showing 25,000
25,445.
445. Why? This is not a comparison of job to job. We are not doing market pricing. We are using what? A regression method where it takes into consideration two values, the entire point values of all the positions and entire market data. And then it is creating an equity. So therefore you will see that in spite of market saying this, because of your point plans of other jobs, to create that parity and equity, it predicts little less maybe or little more maybe. Are you with me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Now, this is your midpoint. Because I'm not getting into those technicalities because I have to explain to you what is a midpoint, what is a mean, what is a max when we do market. So I don't want to confuse you much more. But that is called the midpoint. But in organizations, what happens when I get the salary? If I have a policy of leading, then I'll add 10% more or 15% more. But if I say, hey, I want to lag, then I can actually pay lesser than that by 10% or 15%. Or I will say, but this is the predicted salary, but my critical positions are 1 and 2. Then I may say, I will pay more for these critical positions. So you can have a combination, lead, lag, on par, or below. So that is something when we do market, I will help you with it. Are you with me? Because too much of technicality, you might actually at the end might not be able to comprehend. So I want to go slow, only in gear 1 and gear 2. Okay. But tell me, have you understood, guys? Let me just go through so that again, you will find it easier. Are you doing this? Where did the other point plan go? Huh? Yeah. Okay. So just to recap everything, in point plan, step 1, determine or identify compensable factors. Got it? Okay. Now, depending on the complexity of the organization, you will define. If it is simple, you'll have only 3 or 4, or it will be more. Okay. Step 2, then you will actually determine how many scales, how many degrees of differentiation you want. Now, these degrees are different from those grades of job grading. Got it? These are intensity. So like, for example, Monesh said, I also have an undergrad. Where will I do? So depending on the intensity required, you can have these degrees. Typically, you can have degrees 6, 8. It depends on the complexity. Step 3, then weightage. Step 3 is weightage.
Weightage.
Step 4, what will you do? Then you will do the population of the point plan. That means weightage multiplied by the degrees. Okay. Step 5, then you will start evaluating your jobs, assign points. When you're assigning points, don't look at, okay, all of degree 2, all of degree 1. No. The premise or the criteria will be, look at what does the job require and then circle that point value. Okay. Then you will get all the points. Then what will you do? You will then get benchmark data, market data. Then you will do a regression, which will throw up the, what we call it also as the pay line salary. What is this called? Pay line salary. Any questions, guys? Any questions?
Ma'am,
Yeah.
I think this will be covered in the next session, but still I'm asking if this is possible. So we are getting the market data. So it is not necessary that it is fixed that HR team lead for every organization they are getting the 25,000. I think we have to do some exercise in this.
No. Don't take this market data just like that. I've taken market data because this was a Hyderabad company which we were doing, and market data per month for that. Okay. You have to take market data, what is relevant for your, which I will explain to you. How do we take the market data, which is called matching of the job, taking benchmark position, 80%, 90% match fit. Like, for example, recently somebody was saying, the Deloitte, I was a consultant there. The Deloitte survey they had already done shows for graduate engineers to pay 4.5 to 5 lakhs salary. But ma'am, we want to take both tier 3 also, and we want to take from IITs. But we can't pay just 5 lakhs. We have to pay at least 10 to 15. You getting me? Now, what does it mean? That means now you are also going to create a differentiation, because as I said, equity. If 2 people are doing the same job, you are taking a tier 3 guy, you are taking a IIT guy, but doing the same job, then the tier 3 guy will say, why are you paying him 10 lakhs when I'm also doing the same job? I should also get it. Are you with me? So therefore, I said that, I gave that example because I said, you have to compare apples with apples to get market data, which I will explain to you. How do we actually get market data? How do we take benchmark position and compare them with the market and then get the market data? Because if your market data is not correct, that also will be a problem. Why will market data go wrong? Because maybe somewhere you mismatched the benchmarking positions. Or maybe there were some errors in the, point plan, like that. Are you with me? Okay. So your question was market data. Definitely, yes. The market data is depending on how you will actually match the job, and then you will look at your market data. Okay. Like, for
Nirmala,
example,
I have a question.
Yeah.
Pay line salary is a mid salary, no?
Pardon?
Midpoint, right?
Huh?
Pay line salary, we can even call it as a
I did purposely
midpoint.
say that if I say midpoint and all, because I've not taught you midpoint, which I want to.
No problem. Just for my understanding.
Yeah,
Because
midpoint
we
and the
follow
median
the
data. It's
term
called
just
the
for my
median data.
understanding.
When you go to market, you'll only get median data, not the min or not the max. You'll always get the median data or midpoint data.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I will tell you also in the next session, when I also give a little bit on the hay, that how do we then create grades from points? Because some organizations may be paying salary based on the points, but benefits based on the grades. Now, how will you create grades from the pay line salary? Okay. Okay, guys. Vilma will be ready to give you 2 assignments. What is that? To create pointer plans and also to do job grading. When you do that, you will become an expert. Okay?